I think you have to give a lot of credit to the 7-Year Itch, is when I first met her. Because at that time, a very nice guy named Sam Shaw, he's a photographer, he's been around for a long time, and he knows Marilyn a lot too. Sam was working for the film company as not only a photographer, but as an idea man to give them suggestions. And he came up with the idea. He said, look, he says, you know, why don't you have her with a frilly skirt, and we'll take her over where the subway grating is, and we'll have a fan underneath and blow up her skirt. It'll be very sexy. In those days, 1954, that would be daring. Today it's nothing, but then it was daring. So the producer was Charlie Feldman. Charlie said, hey, it's a great idea, I like it. And they had a very nice guy, a German fellow named Billy Wilder, who was a director. And he was very good. And they said, Billy, what do you think of the idea? And he said, yeah, let's ask Marilyn. So they went to Marilyn, and they told her the idea. And she said, sure, okay. They said, this is going to help sell the film. You know, we'll get good publicity. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, we all went over to Lexington Avenue and 52nd Street. There was a theater called the Translux Theater. And the scene was coming out after seeing the film. And it's a very hot day. It was the beginning of September. And the actor playing with Marilyn was a fellow named Tom Ewell, a very good actor. So she says, oh, it's so hot. And they stopped outside the theater at the subway grating. And she says, oh, I'm so hot. She said, let me wait until the train comes by and they'll blow up air and they'll cool me off. He said, okay. So they're standing there. A train comes by and blows up a lot of air, and her dress goes all the way up. It was a fantastic scene. But at that scene, she was married to Joe DiMaggio. And he's standing there watching the scene with a very famous Broadway columnist for the newspapers called Walter Winchell. And I was standing next to them, and I was photographing this. It's in the book. And after once or twice, Joe became a little nervous. Don't forget, he's an Italian, and he comes from a very orthodox Italian family. The wives don't do things like this. They get married, they have lots of babies. So there's a crowd, mostly men, hundreds of men standing there. And every time Billy Wilder tells them to have they use fans underneath. There was no train to blow up the skirts. Do it again, do it again. And Joe's getting very furious. Here it is 10 times, 12 times. So he turns to Walter Winchell with him. He says, I've had it. I can't take this anymore. And he went away. And then Marilyn turns and she says to Billy Wilder, I mean, didn't we do it enough? I mean, the crowd is yelling. I mean, here, you could see right through her panties and everything. Pubic hair, and she says to Billy, I hope you're not doing this so you can show it to your friends at a private screening, you know? Because what was the sense of this? He was having a good time, bless him. So it became very important, that picture. As you probably know, it went all over the world, and it was a scene that has become world famous. But what they did is they had trouble with the dialogue. There was too much noise from the fan blowing and from cars and things like that. So they reshot the scene in California in the studio, and that's what they used. And they didn't show too much. They just showed up to her thighs a little bit because they were afraid it would be too sexy.